Thank you for listening to Dialogues on Democracy, celebrating IFES's 25th anniversary. I'm Laura Osio. Every citizen should have the freedom to partake in their nation's government and political processes. Yet in almost every nation, economic, ethnic, and social inequalities prevent individuals from participating fully in public life. In this podcast, Vasu Mohan, Deputy Director for Asia, and Alan Wall, Country Director in Nepal, tell us about IFES's work with the underrepresented. Vasu, how does IFES define underrepresented populations, and what are some of the countries that we have worked in this area?
The Universal Declaration of Human Rights guarantees to every human being the right to have a say in who governs them and how they are governed. Anyone who is left out of this process, we define them as underrepresented or marginalized. Now, this could be people with disabilities. It could be ethnic, religious minorities, women, young citizens of countries, internally displaced people. It could be a variety of different groups. But the common thread across all of them is that they are not represented adequately in their government and in their governance process. A few examples of IFES's work: working with the Muslim community in India, empowering Muslim women, working with the Afro-Ecuadorian population in Ecuador, with Dalits and freed Khmeriyas in Nepal.
Alan, what are some of the barriers faced by underrepresented populations?
There are a number of barriers to underrepresented populations to participate. Sometimes it's in their own minds, apathy. What can we do about this process? How can we participate and have an effect, which has to be got through motivation, through trusted people, working with them to convince them that this is in their interest to participate. Other times they are part of communities that have historically been either subservient or people have had no power at all, and it takes them time to be able to bring themselves to believe that they can participate and have an impact. There are literacy issues. Many of the underrepresented populations are not literate, and you need to take special efforts to make sure that they understand the process. Women are also often underrepresented, mainly because they are not really playing a part in their local community because male domination, but also because they don't have the confidence that they can do so. And building their confidence is really important.
Would you please tell us about IFES's work in Nepal?
In Nepal, we've been working with 5 civil society organisations, working with various sectors of the underrepresented in terms of voter registration and in terms of voting. Women, youth, Dalits, who are the 13% minority, who are the underprivileged people, those whose caste was such that they weren't included before. It's worked very much on local community effort, peer-to-peer communication, motivating people to take part in the political and electoral process. As was said a long time ago, if you don't choose for yourself, someone else will choose for you. And that's the message we're trying to get through to these people. Motivation and also information on how they can register and then how they can vote in the next election. It's been unusual in Nepal in that at the local level we've been able to get considerable synergy between both the official voter education and motivation campaigns and that is being implemented through our CSO sub-grantees. This is not always usual. Often civil society and official institutions like to criticise each other. But in the case in Nepal, we've got a good symbiotic relationship. The official institutions help with training the CSOs. The two of them work together to plan their activities so that they coordinate in terms of where the official activities are taking place. There's coordination so that the civil society organisations can provide help desks for members of their communities when they have to go to register to vote or when they have to go to vote. This has worked incredibly well and really increased the potential and the impact of this campaign.
What are some of the lessons learned from IFES's global experience in this area?
First and foremost, we have learned that knowledge is that people need to know what their constitutions and their laws say, what are their rights. So that information piece is really very important. Then people need to have the tools and the skills to be able to effectively advocate on behalf of their communities and themselves. A third lesson that we have learned programming is working in a targeted and focused way with vulnerable, marginalized populations and underrepresented populations is as important as working with people who are in power, in the administrative structures and the broader community. So we need to work simultaneously on both fronts.
Vasu, would you please share with us one of your most meaningful experiences in this work?
IFES has worked in India with Muslim women who represent underrepresentation and marginalization in three ways. First, they are women, and women are underrepresented in the Indian democracy. Second, because they are poor. The majority of people we worked with were living below the poverty line. And third, because they're also a religious minority that was very concerned about their own identity and felt that they were under threat for being a minority. So there was triple marginalization. And in one of the information workshops, we worked with the community and we talked to them about their rights that were guaranteed to them in their religious texts and also in the Indian Constitution. And at the end of the workshop, I remember this one woman telling us, we asked what had people learned, and she said, I learned that there is a constitution in my country and that I'm actually part of it. On the face of it, this is very simple. We told people that there is a constitution and that the constitution included rights for everybody. But it's really different in the way she saw herself as being part of the laws and the structures that her country has set up.
For more dialogues on democracy, please visit ifes.org.